Good morning, everyone over watching in North America and South America, and good afternoon to everyone that's here in South Africa watching with me. My name is Tammy Hardy. I'm the Education Manager from SANCCOB, and this is Princess. Hello. Now, Princess is an endangered African penguin, and today we're going to be learning all about Princess, how she wound up in SANCCOB, and see what else she can teach us about the endangered African penguins and the plight of seabirds in general. Now, little Princess here, she arrived at SANCCOB in 2014, actually, so she hasn't been here that long. She arrived on the 15th of March of last year, but what was funny is that we had seen her before, and we knew that we'd seen Princess before because she had a pink dot on her stomach. So I'm going to show you a picture of what I mean. So over here at SANCCOB, when we release our penguins, we place a pink dot on their stomachs like this. And it's actually just a paint that we use. It's kind of the same paint that's used to mark pigs. Now, the reason why we do this is just to help us identify in the colony, you know, who is a penguin that we've seen before, and it's a quick and easy way to check that. We don't use the pink dot anymore, and that's because some people kind of went overboard a little bit with the pink paint when people come in and they get penguins covered with the pink, and that didn't look very nice. And then there are also some research suggests that sharks are attracted to bright colors. So we don't want to be releasing penguins out into the wild with a bright pink dot on them. Again, that isn't conclusive research, but we'd rather not risk it. So now when we do release chicks, we actually place a little transponder in the back of the left leg. And then when they come in, we can just scan on the back of the leg and see if it's a bird that we've seen before. Now, Princess came in as a juvenile. Right now, Princess is a beautiful adult, and we can see she's a beautiful adult because she's got her tuxedo. So I'm going to quickly show you how the penguin changes, because Princess didn't wake up looking like this. It actually took her 2 years to get this beautiful tuxedo. So when a penguin is hatched, it's going to be classified as a chick to start off with. So over here, these little guys are African penguin chicks, and they're covered with fluff. Once they lose all of this fluff, which is when they're about 3-4 months old, we're going to call them blues. Now, Stubby that we met last week, Stubby is a blue, and we classify them as, or we call them blues as a nickname because they have this nice bluish undertone to them. Now, once Stubby gets to a year old, he's going to molt again, and we'll call him a juvenile, which is what Princess came in as. They might have a bit of the pink above the eye, a bit of the tuxedo white bands coming on the side, and they've got a bit of a brown, dirtyish color. And here's a look at a juvenile from the front. Now, when penguins molt, they do look quite funny. I've got a picture here of a molting penguin. Yeah, you can see all the feathers coming off. They look really, really silly when they molt. But once they get new beautiful feathers in, they look really, really classy in their new tuxedo. Now, Princess here, she is not getting ready to molt. And I can see this because of two main things. One, her flippers aren't swollen. So when penguins are going to molt, or when African penguins are going to molt, their flippers here will swell up quite a bit, and they'll get very, very hot. Secondly, I can see that she's not getting ready to molt because she's way too thin. Look at this. Princess is totally ready for swimsuit season. She's not fattening up at all. Now, when the African penguin is going to molt, they'll almost double in weight. They're going to get huge, and we sometimes classify it as them being hot, clumsy, and big. And they'll almost double in weight, but that's because while they're molting, which takes 2 to 4 weeks, they aren't going to go into the ocean to eat at all. So if Princess is going to get ready to molt, she's going to fatten up a lot. So like as a bear when they go into hibernation, while she is losing her feathers and getting her new beautiful coat, she can't go into the ocean and swim at all, which means she can't catch any fish. So she's got to live off all the fish that's in her system. Now, like I said before, Princess was a recapture. And we saw this because she had the pink dot. you can see that the pink dot is gone, right? So the pink dot doesn't stay there forever. It's just going to stay there until the bird molts, and then when the new feathers grow in, they won't have that pink dot anymore. So if you guys ever come to South Africa and you're looking around for pink dot penguins, it doesn't stay on them for longer than a year, because that's normally the time it takes for the bird to molt again. So Princess, like I said, she was a recapture. When she came in the second time, she was getting ready to molt. So her flippers were swollen, and they were quite hot, and it looked like she was starting to gain weight because she wanted to start molting, because like I said before, while they're molting, they don't eat at all. Now, because of this, we can't just release her. If a penguin is here and they are in the process of molting, we can't release them back into the wild until they have finished molting, because this little girl here, if I released her back into the wild before she had her new beautiful set of feathers, she wouldn't have that waterproofing that she needs to go into the ocean. And it's also not a good time to let them out into the wild if we know they can't eat for a while. So by the time she had finished molting, Princess was displaying symptoms of being very, very tame. She was following people around. She wanted to jump on people's laps, and that's not normal behavior at all. And it may be part of why Princess wound up with us on both occasions. And we can actually learn a very important lesson from Princess and about how we treat wild animals. Boys and girls, if you are out in nature and you see a wild animal, if you see a penguin, if you see any type of bird, if you see a wild cat, anything, do not approach them. Do not give them food. Do not try and take them home with you. Wild animals are not your pets. So if people get too close to Princess, it's put her in a situation now where she cannot go back to the wild because she is too dependent on people to survive. If we pop Princess out at the beach now, she would be waiting for someone to bring her fish to feed her. Even now when I feed Princess, she's sometimes a bit too lazy to even open her own mouth and swallow the fish, you know. She's a very lazy girl. Very beautiful girl, though. Like I said, she's a princess, so she's very, very fussy. So that's something very important that we can learn from Princess, is that when we come across wild animals, they are not your friends or your pets that you can take home with you. If you ever see a wild animal out in nature, please leave them alone. Don't approach them. Even something like pigeons. Maybe you see a large flock of pigeons in the park. Don't run through the pigeons and try and give them a fright so that they fly away. That's really, really scary for them. Leave wild animals alone and keep your distance, because it should be enough for us just to observe them in nature than to want to actually pick them up and carry them around and take them home and show our friends. So little Princess and I are now going to address any questions that we have. For those of you who are going to stay with the questions, today I have Miss Yamando from Toronto, and I have Miss Golchinsky from Wisconsin. So we've got some grade 1, 2s, and 3s with us today. Guys, I'm really excited to answer your questions. Princess is 2. So if you guys are watching and you want to stay in for the questions and answers, please do. If you're done with the lesson, you can stop here. But if you want to support SANCCOB and help us rescue more of the endangered African penguin, please go to our website, www.sanccob.co.za. SANCCOB is spelled S-A-N-C-C-O-B. Or if you want me to call your classroom and have a chat with you, please get hold of Joe Gawrowski through Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. Right, so for those of you who are leaving, thanks. I hope you enjoyed meeting Princess. She certainly enjoyed meeting you. And for those of you who are staying, we're going to go over to questions. So I'm going to start off with Miss Yamanda's class. All right, guys, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Hi, my name is Mark. Hi, my name is Mark. Hi, my name is. How do you know if a penguin is eating well?
I think you're going to have to come a little bit closer to the mic.
Hi, my name is Mark. Do you know if a penguin is eating well?
How do you know if a penguin is eating well?
Okay, that's a good question. So the African penguin, normally when we feed them, they have 2 or 3 fish. But an adult, if they're hungry enough and they want enough food, they could sit and have 5 or 6 fish in one sitting. So we can see that they're eating well if they eat as much as they're supposed to. But obviously, if we do get guys in here that are underweight, we will try and feed them a little bit more so we can fatten them up so they can go back to the wild. So Princess here, we know she eats well because every day she'll come and she'll have her breakfast and her supper.
Hi, my name is Francesca. How do you know if a penguin is hurt or not?
Thank you for the question. It's very good. So with the penguins, we can tell if they're hurt, obviously if there's a physical injury, right? So if Princess comes in and her flipper is broken, I can see that it's broken. But if it's something that's happening on the inside and we're not sure about it, we do a blood test. And this is why whenever any bird comes into SANCCOB, the first thing we'll do is we'll draw a little bit of their blood and we will make a blood slide. And our vet will look at it under a special microscope to see if the blood has any infections or bacteria in it. And then every single Monday we will redo that test for every single bird in the center to track their progress and see if they're getting better. So to answer your question in brief, or to summarize it, we can see if they're hurt by if they physically have wounds or things like that on them, or with blood tests. Thank you. Good question.
Hi, my name is Amelia, and does every penguin know how to swim?
Does every penguin know how to swim?
Do they know how to swim? Of course they do. So for penguins, swimming, sorry, she had a little sneeze there. Swimming is very, very natural for them. It's very instinctual. It's just like when we're born, we know how to breathe. So yes, all our penguins know how to swim. We've never had to teach any of them how to swim.
Hi, my name is Jaden. Hi, my name is Jaden. How do you know if the penguin is going to have a baby or not?
How do you know if a penguin is going to have a baby?
Okay, well, firstly, they'll have a husband or wife. So penguins, African penguins are special because they're made for life. So when they get married, they don't get divorced. So I'll see that. So Princess, she's not married. She doesn't have a husband. But if she was going to lay an egg, then what would probably happen is that her and her husband would make a nest together, and then they would sit on the nest for a long time, and you know, they would talk to each other a lot on the nest, and you know, just do what they need to do, and then some time will pass, and Princess will lay an egg or two, and then she'll sit on the eggs until they hatch. So we can see if they're getting ready to have baby penguins. Obviously if they lay an egg, then we know that a baby penguin is coming, or it will most likely come. And then obviously if they start making nests and talking to their husbands or wives a bit more than they normally do. Good question. So I'm going to take one more question from Miss Yamanda, and then I'm going to go over to Miss Golchinsky's class.
How many penguins have you treated?
So SANCCOB has worked with about 90,000 birds since we opened 47 years ago. And when it comes to penguins, well, at the moment we deal with about 1,500 penguins a year. So thousands and thousands and thousands, you know, at least 40,000 penguins since we've opened. Good question. All right, so thanks for the questions from Miss Yomanda's class. I'm going to go over to Miss Golchinsky now. All right, guys, hit Princess and I with your questions.
How many penguins are there in the world?
Millions and millions and millions. So not all penguins are endangered like the African penguin. So with the African penguin, there are only about 18,000 breeding pairs left in the wild. But there are other penguins that aren't endangered at all, and there are millions of even just one particular type of penguin. So I can't give you an exact number, but there are lots and lots of penguins. but not lots of every type.
My name is Shannon, and I want to know when is Princess's birthday.
Princess's birthday. I'm not actually sure when she hatched, because when she came to us, she was already over, ooh, bless you, girl. She was already over a year old. So I can't tell you exactly when she hatched, but she came to SANCCOB on the 15th of March. So I guess her SANCCOB birthday is the 15th of March. Good question. And sorry, guys, if you see Princess breathing like this a little bit, don't worry. She's not scared or anything. She's just a little bit hot. It's a little bit warm here today, so don't worry. After this, I'll go pop her in the pool, and she'll cool down.
Hi, my name is Jack, and does Princess have friends?
She does have friends. Princess is a little bit. She likes to get into little fights sometimes. You know, she's very you know, she acts like a princess. You know, she kind of struts around the Penguin Hotel like, oh, look at me, I'm so great. So sometimes she does get into fights with other penguins. But yeah, she does have friends. She's friends with Sweet Pea. Her and Sweet Pea sit together a lot. So she does have some friends there, yeah.
My name is Peyton, and I was wondering, why is Princess at the rehab center?
So Princess lives here permanently because she's too tame. So if I released her back into the wild, she actually wouldn't be able to survive on her own. So that's why she's here with us. Good question.
Hi, my name is Buzz, and I wondered, can Princess eat human food?
Well, penguins normally just eat fish or crustaceans or squid or, you know, those types of things. If I went and I gave Princess some McDonald's, she wouldn't like it very much. You know, if I went and I got some Kentucky Fried Chicken, she wouldn't enjoy that. If she ate other types of food, would she die? No, but it's certainly not something that should happen. So Princess should only be eating fish. But thanks, good question. So if you have a penguin at home somehow, please don't give them chicken or steak or things like that. Give them fish. Or rather, no, don't. Rather take them to an animal hospital instead of keeping them at home, please.
That's all we had for questions.
All right, great. So guys, thank you so much for your questions. Princess and I really enjoyed answering them. So we hope that you have a lovely day, and hopefully we'll see you at our next lesson. Bye. Ooh. Bye, guys.